Hey, you, and welcome to the first episode of Figuring Out Life in Real Time. I'm your host, the Abundance Goddess, and on today's episode, we will be discussing about religion. So, I'm in a season of unlearning and relearning. I care about Jehovah. I want truth, not just tradition. I'm trying to think for myself without losing my faith. Now, I'm in a season of becoming, and part of that becoming has forced me to ask hard questions about religion. Not because I want to rebel, but because I want to understand. So, what I was taught as a child, I grew up in an African household rather, and my mom went through a lot. I watched my mom fight battles, and some of those battles were spiritual. And I believe today, when I look at my mom, she is going through religious psychosis because the way she taught me to pray, it was by force. So she didn't take time to teach me about God in a way that I know God now. For her, it was fear driven. And I understand because she was fighting, like I said, she was fighting a lot of spiritual battles, even physical battles and all of that. So religion for her became protection and it became a weapon for her. So growing up, I really didn't like to pray because of that, because of how my mom presented Christianity to me. And now as I grew up, because I was used to praying, even when I was away from my mom, I used to pray because I also felt like if I don't pray, then I'm not protected. But now, as I have grown up, I am questioning all of that. If God is my father, does it mean that he only takes care of me when I pray? And when I don't have the strength to pray, does it mean now that I'm open to attacks and all of that? So that is where I'm at the moment. There were so many questions that I was afraid to ask. For example, why are there so many religions? There is Christianity, there is Islamic, there is Buddhism, Hinduism, and all of that. I've always wondered, why are there so many religions, and how do you tell that this is the true religion and this is not a true religion? Because to my understanding, religion is something that you are brought up into. So if you are born into a Muslim family, then you are brought up to be Islamic. If you are a Christian, same goes. So I've always had these questions, but I was afraid to ask them. Like, my obedience for God, does it come from love or is it coming from conditioning? The pressure to not question God to me, because if you start asking questions, then are you trying to rebel? Are you demon possessed or all of that? And my doubt felt like I'm betraying God. But I think my spiritual awakening started the first time I started asking these questions. Because at some point I was like, no, man, I cannot live like this. I have to be true to myself. And I started asking these questions. And one of the ways I started like trying to get the truth was reading the Bible. And I've soon found out that even Thomas doubted. He was questioning, because you cannot tell me to just believe something without proof. Even science works with proof. So religion also has to work with proof. Okay? Even Job questioned. So I think faith cannot survive. A faith that cannot survive questions might not be faith. It might be control. And in my journey with all these questions, I have learned to separate God from religion, because religion is an institution where God, He's real, so He transcends institutions. At this point, I guess I'm more concerned about, is my relationship with God dependent on an organization? Can spirituality exist without performance? Does truth fear investigation? I think that truth welcomes scrutiny. If something collapses under questioning, that tells you something. I think that faith and curiosity do not have to be enemies. So, at this point, I have started studying the scriptures by myself. I allow space for uncertainty. I love people without labeling them. That is my stand at this point. I am not leaving religion. I am reconstructing my belief system without anyone else's opinion. And I think that I'm being brave. So in ending, I'll say, I'm not here to tell you what to believe. I'm here to say that I'm learning to think for myself without losing my reverence for God. I'm learning that doubt isn't the opposite of faith. Indifference is. And I refuse to be different about my own soul. This is my becoming. This is her era. And this era, I choose honest faith over inherited fear. And thank you for listening. I will see you on the next episode. Bye.